Good morning, children. We are once again back in the same chapter, that is D and A block elements. In today's study, we are going to study about potassium permanganate, whose chemical formula is KMnO4. Now, potassium permanganate is prepared from pyrolusite, that is MnO2. Pyrolusite is fused with KOH in the presence of atmospheric oxygen or an oxidizing agent. These are the methods of preparation of potassium permanganate. The reaction involved in this is when potassium permanganate, that is manganese dioxide, is made to react with potassium hydroxide in presence of oxygen and heated, we actually get K2MnO4 plus water. Now this green mass of is extracted with water and oxidized to potassium permanganate electrolytically or by passing chlorine or ozone into the solution. So we have K2MnO4 that on electrolytic oxidation gives us potassium ion and manganate ion, and water gives H plus and OH minus. Now during electrolysis, what is done actually, manganate ions are oxidized to permanganate at the anode. So we have manganate ion that is changing to MnO4 minus plus electron. At the cathode, hydrogen gas is liberated. So ultimately oxidation by chlorine. So the potassium manganate is been oxidized with chlorine to give potassium permanganate plus twice KCl. Now, by oxidation of ozone, it can also be done with the help of the oxidation of ozone, and the reactions are as follows: that when K2MnO4 is made to react with ozone in presence of water, we get KMnO4 plus QH plus oxygen. Now, MnO2 minus 2 plus oxygen plus water, we get MnO4 minus 2 hydroxyl plus oxygen. As a result of oxidation, the green color of the solution changes into purple. The purple solution containing MnO4 minus is concentrated by evaporation, which on cooling gives crystals of KMnO4. The manganate and the permanganate ions are tetrahedral in shape, and the manganate is paramagnetic in nature. If you see the structure is as follows. See the manganate and the permanganate. The manganate and the permanganate ions are tetrahedral in shape, and they have this following structure, and they have this type of following structure. As you could see that the manganate and permanganate are tetrahedral in shape, and the manganate is paramagnetic with one unpaired electron, but the permanganate is diamagnetic, and the structure is manganese is at the center, and it is bonded with double bonded oxygen twice and two minus ion. That is, this is the manganate ion, which is paramagnetic and color is green. Now for the permanganate, we have 3 of the oxygen double bond and 1 with single bond. This is diamagnetic and its color is purple. So ultimately the color of permanganate ion is purple, but the color of manganate ion is green. Now the pi bonding takes place by the overlap of p orbital oxygen and d orbitals of manganese. Okay. The pi bonding takes place by the overlap of p orbitals of oxygen and d orbitals of manganese. This is how the overlapping takes place. So this is ultimately the process by which potassium permanganate is prepared in the lab. After that, we are going to discuss the properties of potassium permanganate. The first important properties of potassium permanganate that we are going to discuss is that potassium permanganate is a violet crystalline solid having a melting point 523 Kelvin. It is soluble in water and its aqueous solution is purple in color. Effect of heat on heating, potassium permanganate changes into manganate and oxygen gas is evolved. So potassium permanganate on heating, we get K2MnO4 plus manganese dioxide plus oxygen. So effect of heat is potassium permanganate on heating changes to potassium manganate MnO2 plus oxygen. This is how the reaction takes place. After that, Next, we have effect of alkalis. On heating with alkalis, potassium permanganate changes into manganate and oxygen gases evolve. So what is the reaction? Potassium manganate plus KOH, we get K2MnO4 plus water plus oxygen. Then the oxidizing property. In the oxidizing property, potassium permanganate acts as a very powerful oxidizing agent in acidic, neutral and alkaline medium. The equation representing oxidation in this media are given below. That is, in acidic medium, the reaction takes place like this. Potassium permanganate plus sulfuric acid gives us potassium sulfate, manganese sulfate, water plus oxygen. And in this case, we get nascent oxygen. Now this manganate ion plus hydrogen in presence of electron, we get manganese plus 2. In the neutral alkaline medium, the reaction takes place like this. Potassium permanganate plus water, we get KOH, MnO2 plus oxygen. In all this reaction, nascent oxygen is actually being present. This nascent oxygen oxidizes it in the acidic or in the neutral medium. In acidic medium, the reaction takes place like this. Potassium permanganate actually oxidizes ferrous salt to ferric salt. We have the manganate ion. Manganate ion is changing to manganese plus 2 and ferrous is oxidized to ferric plus 3. Okay. Now, during this reaction, the light green ferrous salts are converted to light yellow ferric salt. This is how the reaction proceeds. Okay, I'm giving you 2 minutes time, children. Just copy it. In the same way, we have oxalates gets changed to carbon dioxide. We have the oxalate ion. This oxalate ion in presence of potassium permanganate, we get manganese, carbon dioxide plus water, and this is how the reaction proceeds. See, after that, we have the next reaction, that during the reaction of the ferrous ion, it is easily oxidized from the ferrous, from the green salt to that of the yellow ferric salt. So we have the manganate ion. In acidic medium, in presence of 5 electrons, it changes to manganese plus 2, and oxalate ion is gradually changed to carbon dioxide. Okay, this is how the reaction takes place. That is, oxidation of oxalates and oxalic acid takes place at a temperature of 388 Kelvin, right? Another reaction is the reaction of iodides to iodine. Now, when the iodides are made to react, that is, iodide salt is made to react with manganese, we get from manganate, it changes to manganese plus 2, that is itself getting reduced, and iodide salt is getting changed to iodine. In this way, the whole reaction proceeds. After that, we have the next reaction, H2S to sulfur. Now, when H2S is made to react, it changes to manganate changes to manganese plus 2, and H2S is oxidized from minus 2 to that of sulfur. This is how the reaction proceeds. In the same way, we will discuss the reaction of sulfides to sulfates. Now, when sulfide salts are taken, manganate ion changes to manganese plus 2 and sulfite is changed to sulfate. In a neutral or faintly alkaline medium, it oxidizes iodides to iodates, thiosulfates to sulfates, and manganese salts to manganese dioxide. That is, if I have iodide, it is changed to iodate. If I have thiosulfide salt, that is changing to sulfate, and if I have manganese salt, that is changing to manganate. Okay, in this way the reaction takes place. Now the next thing that we are going to discuss is the uses of potassium permanganate. So as an oxidizing agent in the laboratory and as in industry, for the volumetric estimation of ferrous salts, oxalates and other reducing agent. For volumetric estimation of ferrous salts, oxalates and other reducing agents. For the qualitative detection of halides, oxalate, tartrates and sulfides. Halides, oxalate, tartrates and sulfides as a disinfectant for water in the dry cells, and it is used for the bleaching action of wool, cotton, silk and other textile fibers. These are some of the applications of potassium permanganate. Now the next part of the chapter we are going to discuss is some of the applications of D block elements. Now we are going to discuss some of the common applications of D block elements. The first application is that iron and steel are the most important construction material. That is, we know that for the construction of buildings and big construction, iron is an important constituent, so also steel. So we know that steel is an alloy of iron, right? Next, we have stainless steel is used for making utensils and as a large variety of articles. Similarly, many different types of alloy steels are prepared for specific uses. For example, tungsten and steel is used for making cutting tools. Manganese dioxide is used in the manufacture of dry batteries. cells, nickel, cadmium are used in the manufacture of rechargeable batteries. These are some of the uses. Now, zinc is used in the galvanization of iron. Zinc is used for the galvanization of iron. Copper, nickel and steel are used for making coins. Copper, nickel and steel is used for making coins. Many transition metals and their compounds are used as catalyst in many industrial processes. We know that vanadium pentoxide is used in the manufacture of sulfuric acid. Iron catalysts are used for the preparation of ammonia by the Haber's process. Nickel is used as a catalyst during hydrogenation of oils. Potassium permanganate and potassium dichromate are important oxidizing agents, right? Okay children, now we are going to discuss the inner transition elements, that is the F block elements. The F block element consists of two series, the lanthanoids as well as the actinoids. See, the lanthanoids are the 14 elements following lanthanum. So these are the 14 elements that follow lanthanum, that is Ce, Pr, Nd, Pm, Sm, Eu, Gd, Tb, Dy, Ho, Er, Tm, Yb and Lu. These 14 members actually consist the lanthanide series. Now, electronic configuration, the electronic configuration of these elements are called as 4f block elements, because while writing electronic configuration, the last electron enters into the 4f subshell. As it enters the 4f subshell, so it is actually called the 4f elements, or they are called as the lanthanoids. In the electronic configuration of all these lanthanoids, 6s2 is commonly, but 4f orbitals are variable occupancy. However, the electronic configuration of all the tripositive ions are in the form of 4fn. Atomic and ionic sizes on moving across the lanthanides. Now what we see, that these elements, their nuclear charge increases with the increasing atomic number. However, the new electron is added into the 4f subshell, which has poor or imperfect shielding effect. Due to this imperfect shielding effect, increased nuclear charge is not counterbalanced, and as a result, contraction in the size is observed. This decrease in atomic and ionic radii along the lanthanide is very small, and this is called as lanthanide contraction. Okay. Now, oxidation state, the most common oxidation state of lanthanide is +3. This is the most common one. However, in few cases, some of the elements, they show +2 as well as +4 oxidation state in their compounds. Now, the general characteristics, all the lanthanoids are silvery white soft metals and tarnish rapidly in air. See, all the lanthanides means starting with cerium, then we have praseodymium, neodymium, promethium, samarium, europium, gadolinium, then we have terbium, disoprosium, holmium, then we have erbium, thulium, then we have ytterbium, and last of all we have lutetium. So we see all the lanthanides are silvery white soft metals, and they tarnish very rapidly in air. The hardness increases with the increase in atomic number. These are metallic and are very good conductors of heat and electricity. Many trivalent lanthanoid ions are colored both in the solid state and in the aqueous solution. Except promethium, they are non-radioactive. Lanthanides are used for the production of alloy steel for plates and pipes. For example, mish metal that consists of lanthanoid metal 95%, iron 5%, and the traces of sulfur, carbon, calcium, aluminum. It is used in magnesium-based alloy to produce bullet shells and lighter flint. These are some of the general characteristics of lanthanoids. So what we could just see, that lanthanoids metals, they are very rare in earth, and so they are called as inner transition metal because they are present inside the transition series, and they are also called as F block elements, inner transition elements, or they are called as rare earth elements. Okay children, that was all for the D and F block elements. Thank you.